Hi there, I'm Dr. James. I'm 60 years old, and if you're around my age or maybe a little older, I think you'll understand exactly what I'm about to share. We've lived through a lot. We used to be strong, full of energy, able to work 12 hours a day without missing a beat. But then one morning, you wake up, and something feels different. You're not as excited. You don't feel as ready as you used to. You look in the mirror and wonder, have I really gotten old? Now I want you to pause and ask a different question. Is this really about age? Or is it about something my body is quietly missing every day? I've worked with hundreds of men over 60, men who believed their best days were behind them, that intimacy was no longer a priority, or worse, that this was just how life ends up. But then, one small change, so simple it's almost hard to believe, turned things around. I remember one man in particular. His name was George. He was 72, a retired finance professional. Disciplined guy, ate decently, took morning walks. But when he came to see me, he looked empty. He said, "Doc, I don't feel like I'm my wife's man anymore. I feel like life's gone out of me." Now, George didn't have any major health issues. His heart was fine. Blood sugar was a little high, but manageable. The real issue? Poor blood flow. You see, once we hit our 60s, our blood vessels, especially the tiny ones that matter most for vitality, start to harden. And the production of nitric oxide, a molecule that helps blood flow smoothly where it needs to go, begins to decline. That's when you start waking up tired, feeling uninspired. And as night falls, everything just sort of fades. So I gave George one simple suggestion. Every morning, drink 6 ounces of pure pomegranate juice. No sugar, no blends, just pomegranate. He laughed, thought I was joking. But I wasn't, because I know this fruit is different. It's not flashy like pills. It's not hyped up like those testosterone ads on TV. But silently, it does something powerful. It restores the flow. Pomegranates are loaded with polyphenols, powerful antioxidants that help clean the blood vessels and boost nitric oxide production, opening up those pathways to deliver oxygen and hormones to the parts of the body that have been asleep for too long. In a clinical study, just 2 weeks of daily pomegranate juice led to noticeable improvements in blood flow and stamina in men over 60. And sure enough, George came back to see me 14 days later. This time, he didn't say much. He just smiled, that kind of smile you don't forget, and said, "My wife told me I've changed. My eyes are brighter, my voice is stronger, and I feel like myself again." I don't call that a miracle. I call it a homecoming, a return to your own body. Have you ever felt like George? Not sick enough to need a doctor, but just quietly missing something. You wake up without fire. You come home at night without desire. You're still alive, but you don't feel like you're really living. And sometimes what you need isn't a prescription, it's a piece of fruit. Now, I know when some men hear the word fruit, they roll their eyes. "Come on, doc, I'm a man, I need something stronger than that." But here's the truth. Pomegranate is nature's strength for men. Quiet, powerful, and enduring, like a good husband who's loved his wife for 40 years without ever needing to brag about it. You don't need to overhaul your diet. You don't need to pop a dozen pills a day. Just start with 6 ounces of pomegranate juice each morning, before breakfast. That's when nitric oxide is activated most effectively. And that might just be the beginning of something beautiful, the return of you. You're not going to see a miracle after just one day. But if you stay consistent, you'll start to notice something changing. You feel more alert. You're less irritable. You feel present in your own life again. Because aging isn't what's making you weaker. What's really happening is that the flow has been neglected. The flow of blood, of energy, of connection. And pomegranate? It helps bring that flow back. And if you're still listening to me right now, maybe a part of you wants to reclaim something you feel you've lost. Maybe it's your confidence. Maybe it's your vitality. Maybe it's that loving look from your partner you haven't seen in a while. So let me offer you this from the heart. Don't wait until there's a crisis to take action. Start with something small and let your body heal gently, one day at a time. Try a glass of pomegranate juice tomorrow morning. Not just for your health, but because you deserve to feel strong, alive, and full of passion, even at 60 or 70. I'm Dr. James. I don't sell pills. I just tell real stories about people like George, like me, and maybe like you, listening right now. And I truly believe you still have so much life to live, fully and deeply. Now, I want you to picture this. You're 68. All your test results are normal. Heart, fine. Blood sugar, controlled. Your doctor says there's nothing to worry about. But you feel off. You can't even name it. You just know that when you wake up, you don't feel like the man you used to be. You still love your wife, but the fire isn't there. You still have dreams, but the drive to chase them? It's gone. I once met a man like that. His name was Harold. He came to see me just shy of 70. A kind man. Still played golf on weekends. Still cared for his wife every day. But in my office that day, he looked down and said, "Doc, I just don't feel like a man anymore." It wasn't because he was sick. It was because the fire inside had gone cold. And I told Harold something I once had to tell myself. There's nothing wrong with you. Your hormones are just asking for help. And no, he didn't need gel testosterone or hormone shots, those things that cost thousands and often get abandoned halfway through. What he needed was a simple fruit, something he'd walked past in the grocery store 100 times, never realizing it could change something deep inside. Avocado, a fruit that seems so plain, soft, fatty, not very fragrant. But it's one of the silent heroes of restoring male vitality. Avocados are rich in monounsaturated fats, the kind of fats that build, not destroy. And a man's body needs those fats to produce testosterone, the hormone that fuels not just desire, but also drive, voice, vision, and confidence. They're also packed with zinc, magnesium, and especially vitamin B6, which helps lower cortisol, our stress hormone. And let me tell you, cortisol is the quiet enemy of testosterone. When you're stressed, testosterone can't thrive. In other words, if you want to be a strong man, you've got to learn how to worry less. And avocado? It helps you do that, from the inside out. I told Harold, just half an avocado a day. Slice it up with your eggs, or mash it into a dip with some greens. No pressure, no fuss. He came back a week later, not because he'd had some dramatic transformation, but because there was a spark. He told me, "I can feel it. I'm coming back to myself." He smiled more. He started asking his wife to go for walks again in the evening. Nothing big had changed, but Harold was living again. I'm not telling you this story to sell you on avocados. I'm telling it so you understand something important. A man's vitality isn't gone, it's just hiding. And you can bring it back, not by forcing your body with pills, but by nourishing your hormones gently and naturally. Have you ever felt like Harold, when everything on the outside seems fine, but inside there's just emptiness? You still love your partner, but the connection doesn't feel like it once did. You're alive, but you don't feel like you're really living. If you've ever felt that way, I want you to remember this. Testosterone isn't just a hormone, it's your spark. It's your inspiration. It's your drive. It's the quiet belief that when you wake up tomorrow, there's still more for you to do. And if you feel like that spark is fading, try half an avocado a day. Not because it's magic, but because it helps rebuild the hormonal foundation where your energy and motivation begin. I won't promise you'll see a change in 3 days, but I can tell you this. If you stay patient, you'll start to notice. You stand taller. Your voice sounds firmer. You feel present in every moment, not just existing, but engaged. And more importantly, the woman beside you will notice it too. Not from what you say, but from the look in your eyes, from the way you walk, from how you sit at the table and smile. Because real strength doesn't come from muscle. It comes from the fire within. An avocado, day by day, can quietly help reignite that fire, if you give it the chance. I'm Dr. James. I'm not just talking about fruit. I'm talking about the return of you. And I believe you still have so much to live for, with strength and with purpose. Now let me tell you about Walter. Walter was a retired principal, 73 years old. A man of great integrity, intelligence, a pillar of his school for over 30 years. When he came to see me, he didn't complain of pain or illness, but he said something I'll never forget. "I don't feel like I have the energy to live anymore. Not physically, not mentally." He wasn't hurting, just tired. Not depressed, just drained. He'd sit down and couldn't figure out why he didn't have the will to get up and do the things he once loved. He told me, "Mornings don't feel like a beginning anymore. They feel like something I have to get through." So I asked him a simple question. "What do you usually eat for breakfast?" He said, "Honestly, I usually skip it." I nodded, not surprised, because I've seen this over and over again. Men over 60 who start skipping breakfast and unknowingly skip the chance to jumpstart their energy for the day. And I'm not talking about the energy that comes from sugar or caffeine. I'm talking about cellular energy. Real, steady vitality. And that's when I brought up a fruit almost everyone has in their kitchen, but few truly appreciate. Bananas. I know, it sounds too simple, doesn't it? But sometimes, simple is exactly what your body needs to begin healing. Bananas are rich in potassium, magnesium, vitamin B6, and an amino acid called tryptophan, the building block of serotonin, the feel-good brain chemical that helps you stay calm, optimistic, and clear-headed, not through hype or stimulation, but through inner balance. In other words, bananas don't give you a quick high. They help bring you back to your body's natural rhythm. I told Walter, each morning eat one banana, drink a glass of warm water, add a spoonful of nut butter if you like. Don't do anything else, just that, for 7 days. And he did. A week later, he called me. His voice was calm, but something had shifted. He said, "Doc, I didn't feel anything big, but I'm more clear-headed. I'm not snapping at people, and I'm not exhausted by 9 a.m. like I used to be." That's the power of bananas. They're not stimulants. They're fuel. Fuel that helps your heart pump more steadily, keeps your mind sharp, and, most importantly, helps your cells maintain steady energy throughout the day. Not a spike, not a crash, not flashy, but deeply nourishing. And you know what? That kind of stability is exactly what a man over 60 needs most. When you're young, you need fireworks. When you're seasoned, you need a solid foundation. So when you start your day with a banana, you're not just eating a fruit. You're sending a message to your body. I care about my life force. You're feeding your brain, your heart, and your spirit. The very things that make you not just alive, but present. I once heard a woman say this after her husband started changing his breakfast habits. "I don't know what the doctor gave him, but he's become the man I fell in love with when we were 35. Not loud, just there." And now, I want to ask you, watching this video, when you wake up tomorrow morning, how do you want to feel? Do you want to just get through the day? Or do you want to live it fully, as a part of a life that still has so much to offer? If you've tried all sorts of things and still feel tired, still feel like something's missing, start with a banana. Not because it's a miracle, but because it's gentle, real, and powerful enough to lift you from the inside out. Because sometimes, true vitality doesn't come from a gym or a supplement. It comes from the simplest choice you make in the morning. And a banana just might be the quiet start to your powerful return. I'm Dr. James, and I believe if you start your morning with a banana, you're not just nourishing your body, you're rekindling the fire inside of you. Now let me paint you a picture. One morning, you wake up, and you don't feel heavy like usual. You sit up without sighing. You're not rushing to grab a cup of coffee just to get going. Instead, you feel light, clear, present. That's not some fantasy. I've seen it happen in dozens of men over the past few years. And the thing that made the difference wasn't some fancy new medication or an overpriced supplement. It was a simple, consistent breakfast with 3 fruits you already know by name: pomegranate, avocado, and banana. When combined, they don't just help you feel healthier, they help bring your body back into rhythm. You see, we often think improving our health has to be something big. But the truth is, especially at 60 or 70, your body doesn't need force. It needs understanding and consistency. Let me put it simply, just like I tell my patients in the clinic. Pomegranate opens your blood vessels. It gets the flow moving so your energy can rise. Avocado supports your hormones, so you feel like you again. Banana gives you steady energy, so you can show up for life all day long. Each one on its own is powerful, but together, they create what I call a vitality triangle. Circulation, hormones, energy. I had a patient named Richard. He was 69. He had tried it all. Hormone replacement, supplements, all the fancy protocols. But it wasn't until he came back to the basics, avocado, pomegranate juice, banana, every morning, that he told me something I'll never forget. Doc, I don't just feel better, I feel like I've come back. Have you ever felt that way? That feeling when your body suddenly remembers something familiar, something true, something it forgot long ago? That's what happens when you stop treating your body like a machine that needs fixing and start treating it like a friend that needs care. You don't have to overhaul your life. You just need to begin with one small thing each morning. 1 glass of pomegranate juice, half an avocado, 1 banana. I'm not telling you that you'll feel a miracle in 2 days, but if you keep the rhythm, if you listen to your body, you'll start to notice. You sleep deeper. You have richer conversations. You look at your partner, not just with your eyes, but with your full presence. Because vitality doesn't come from youth. Vitality comes from harmony between your body, your mind, and your sense of meaning. And you deserve to have that back. I know. At this age, we're not looking to be young again. We just want to return to the best version of ourselves. That strong, steady man, full of quiet energy and purpose. It doesn't matter how far you... And if you are, then start tomorrow morning. 1 banana, half an avocado, a glass of pomegranate juice. No rituals, no complicated plans. Just a quiet belief that your body is still waiting for you to come home. I'm Dr. James. I'm 60 years old, and I'm here to tell you it's time to choose to live fully again. I still deserve to feel strong. I can still start again. I haven't given up. Because the truth is, men over 60 don't need a pat on the back. But they do need to feel valued. That there's still vitality, still something worth giving. I've seen many men just like you. Men who were once the backbone of their families, the steady hand, the trusted guide. And then, over time, they slowly stepped into the background. Not because they had less to offer, but because the world stopped calling their name. And that's when they start asking, who am I now? If I'm not going to work every day? What role do I play now that the kids are grown and the house is full? Here's what I always tell my male patients in their 60s and 70s. You're not closing a chapter. You're starting a new role. The role of a man who lives with depth, with freedom, and with quiet influence. Taking care of your body, that's the first step. But taking care of your spirit, that's the big one. Because fruit doesn't just strengthen your heart, it awakens your mind. It makes you want to step outside for no reason. Call up an old friend just to say hello. Laugh, really laugh, at the dinner table. I truly believe a man over 60 is not a rough draft. He is a finished sketch. Every line, every wrinkle, every mark has meaning. And now is the time to live, not faster, but deeper. Do you see that in yourself? Have you ever felt like there's still something inside you that needs to be said? Some relationships still waiting to be mended. Some afternoons you still want to spend walking with your wife, not for health, but for love. If you've felt that, then let me tell you, you're doing just fine. Because it means you still want to truly live, not just get by in old age. Being healthy isn't just about not being sick. It's about waking up each morning with a reason to get out of bed and stepping into the day with a light in your eyes. So start small. A piece of fruit in the morning. A short call to a friend. A longer hug for the one you love. And slowly, day by day, you'll start to notice. Your body heals. Your mind softens. Your heart opens. I didn't write this message to talk about. Now I want you to pause just for a few seconds and ask yourself a very simple question. How am I treating my body? Many men, after turning 60, begin to see their bodies as a burden. They only go to the doctor when they're exhausted, only start dieting when a doctor gives them a warning, only exercise when their strength is almost gone. They treat the body like a machine that's breaking down. And that breaks my heart. Because your body, after 60 years of service, of protecting you, of enduring pain, doesn't need to be punished. It needs to be heard, forgiven, and loved again. One of my patients once asked me, "Doctor, I've neglected myself for too long. Is it too late?" I didn't answer right away. I simply asked him, "Can you still breathe? Do you still feel joy, sadness? Miss your wife sometimes?" If yes, then it's not too late. Because the body is never as unforgiving as people can be. It always gives you a chance to come back. Maybe that comeback starts with a glass of pomegranate juice, or half an avocado in the morning, or a banana after your meal. But the real beginning doesn't come from the food. It comes from your attitude toward yourself. Are you living with gratitude? Can you look in the mirror and say, "Thank you for getting me this far, even though I haven't treated you well these past few years"? Are you ready to stop fighting your body and start making peace with it? That is the greatest transformation of any grown man. When we're young, we want to control the body. But at some point, we have to learn to listen to it. Not to surrender, but to walk alongside it. You don't need to feel like you're 30 again. You just need to come back to self-respect, self-love, and self-care. You don't need a perfect body. You just need a body that's honest with you, and one you can be honest with in return. Every walk you take, every fruit you eat, every time you choose to rest instead of pushing through the night, that's a handshake with yourself. I've always believed health is not a destination. Health is the way you walk your journey, and if you're still walking, then you can still live fully. I'm Dr. James. I don't treat old people. I simply help them return to themselves. And I believe, deep down, you know, you still deserve a new chapter, one that's deeper, stronger, and freer than ever before. Let me leave you with just one small message. No more advice, no medical terms. Just a quiet message from one 60-year-old man to another man who's listening right now. If you've made it this far, I believe it's not just because you want to be healthy. You want to live with meaning. You want to reclaim something that once belonged to you. But somewhere along the way, because of life's pace, age, or exhaustion, you let it slip through your hands. I'm not here to convince you of anything. I'm here to help you remember something you used to believe. That your body hasn't given up on you. That the light inside you isn't gone, it's just dimmed, not extinguished. You don't have to change everything tomorrow morning. Just one small thing. One banana. Half an avocado. A glass of pomegranate juice. And one gentle belief. I can. You can regain your clarity. You can feel more like a man even with silver in your hair. You can surprise your wife with a stronger hug or a brighter presence. You can smile at your own reflection, not because you're young again, but because you're fully alive. And if you'll allow it, I'd love to walk with you each week right here. Not to teach, not to preach, just to share. Together, we'll explore nourishing breakfasts, slower, intentional habits, natural ways to restore vitality, memory, and spirit, without medication. And if you're still listening right now, maybe something inside you is already whispering, I want to change. I need to start somewhere, and I don't want to do it alone. Then let me walk this path with you. No grand commitments, no big transformations overnight, just this. Tap the subscribe button below. Turn on the bell so you don't miss a single video. Each week, I'll share practical tools for your health, energy, hormones, and mind. crafted especially for honorable men like you. And if today's video meant something to you, leave a comment below. Just say, "I'm ready," or even, "I'll start tomorrow morning." Small words, but they're the first step in declaring to yourself, "I'm coming back." And if you know someone, a father, a brother, a husband, who's feeling tired, who's lost touch with himself, share this video with him, not to push a message, but to gently remind him. Vitality doesn't live in your age. It lives in the choices you make every single day. I'm Dr. James, and I believe it's never too late as long as you begin with one banana, half an avocado, a glass of pomegranate juice,